The forerunner of Omega, La Generale Watch Co., was founded at La Chaux-de-Fonds, Switzerland in 1848 by Louis Brandt, who assembled key-wound precision pocket watches from parts supplied by local craftsmen. He sold his watches from Italy to Scandinavia by way of England, his chief market. In 1894, his two sons Louis Paul and César developed a revolutionary in-house manufacturing and total production control system that allowed component parts to be interchangeable. Watches developed with these techniques were marketed under the Omega brand of La Generale Watch Co. By 1903, the success of the Omega brand led the La Generale Watch Co. to spin off the Omega brand as its own company, and the Omega Watch Co. was officially founded in 1903. Reorganization. Louis Paul and César Brandt both died in 1903, leaving one of Switzerland's largest watch companies, with 240,000 watches produced annually and employing 800 people, in the hands of 4 young people, the oldest of whom, Paul-Émile Brandt, was not yet 24. Paul-Émile was the great architect and builder of Omega. His influence would be felt over the next half-century. The economic difficulties brought on by the First World War would lead him to work actively from 1925 toward the union of Omega and Tissot, then to their merger in 1930 into the group SSIH, Geneva. Under Brandt's leadership and Joseph Reiser's from 1955, the SSIH group continued to grow and multiply, absorbing or creating some 50 companies, including Lanco and Lemania, manufacturer of the most famous Omega chronograph movements. By the 1970s, SSIH had become Switzerland's #1 producer of finished watches and #3 in the world. Up to this time, the Omega brand outsold Rolex, its main Swiss rival in the luxury watch segment, although Rolex watches sold at a higher price point. Around this time it was viewed as Rolex versus Omega in the competition for the king of Swiss watch brands. Omega watches tended to be more revolutionary and more professionally focused, while Rolex watches were more evolutionary and famous for their mechanical pieces and brand. While Omega and Rolex had dominated in the pre-quartz era, this changed in the 1970s during the quartz crisis. That was when Japanese watch manufacturers such as Seiko and Citizen rose to dominance due to their pioneering use of quartz movements. In response, Rolex continued concentrating on its expensive mechanical chronometers where its expertise lay, while Omega tried to compete with the Japanese in the quartz watch market with Swiss-made quartz movements. Recent development. Weakened by the severe monetary crisis and recession of 1975 to 1980, SSIH was bailed out by the banks in 1981. During this period, Seiko expressed interest in acquiring Omega, but nothing came out of the talks. Switzerland's other watchmaking giant Allgemeine Schweizerische Uhrenindustrie ASUAG, supplier of a large range of Swiss movements and watch assemblies, was in economic difficulty. It was the principal manufacturer of Ebach and owner, through their sub-holding company General Watch Co., of various other Swiss watch brands including Longens, Rado, Certina, Hamilton Watch Company and Mido. After drastic financial restructuring, the R&D departments of ASUAG and SSIH merged production operations at the ETA complex in Granges. The two companies completely merged, forming ASUAG SSIH, a holding company, in 1983. 2 years later, this holding company was taken over by a group of private investors led by Nicolas Hayek. Renamed SMH, Société de Microélectronique et de Horlogerie, this new group over the next decade proceeded to become one of the top watch producers in the world. In 1998, it became the Swatch Group, which now manufactures Omega and other brands such as Blancpain, Swatch, and Breguet. Omega's brand experienced a resurgence with advertisement that focused on product placement strategies, such as in the James Bond 7 films. The character had previously worn a Rolex Submariner but switched to the Omega Seamaster Diver 300M with Golden Eye and has stayed with the latter ever since, until swapping it for the Omega Planet Ocean and Aquaterra. Omega also adopted many elements of Rolex's business model, which was successful in increasing Omega's market share and name recognition to become more of a direct competitor to Rolex. In March 2022, Omega collaborated with sibling company Swatch, both of which are owned by the Swatch Group, to release a budget version of its iconic Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch, surprising the entire industry. The so-called Moon Swatch is made of bioceramic, a mixture of ceramic and castor oil, is available in 11 colors, and is priced at $260, £207, well below the $5,250 price of the least expensive Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch. Notable inventions and patents. 1892, Louis Brandt, the founder of Omega, manufactured the world's first minute-repeating wristwatch in collaboration with Audemars Piguet, which provided the minute-repeating movement. The 18 Kelvin gold watch is now kept in the Omega Museum in Biel, Bayonne, Switzerland. In 1947, Omega created the first tourbillon wristwatch caliber in the world with the 30i. 12 of these movements were made, intended for inclusion in the observatory trials in Geneva, Neuchâtel, and Kew Teddington, and they were known as the Omega Observatory Turbulence. Unlike conventional tourbillon movements whose cages rotate once per minute, the 30I's cage rotated one time each 7.5 minutes. In 1949, one of these delivered the best results ever recorded by a wristwatch up to that time. A year later, Omega broke its own record in the Geneva Observatory trials of 1950. In 1999, after the successful development of caliber 250, Omega made history by introducing the first mass-produced watch incorporating the coaxial escapement, invented by English watchmaker George Daniels, considered by many to be one of the more significant horological advances since the invention of the lever escapement. The coaxial escapement functions with virtually no lubrication, thereby eliminating one of the shortcomings of the traditional lever escapement. Through using radial friction instead of sliding friction at the impulse surfaces, the coaxial escapement significantly reduces friction, theoretically resulting in longer service intervals and greater accuracy over time. On January 24, 2007, Omega unveiled its new calibers 8500 and 8501, two coaxial movements created exclusively from inception by Omega. On January 17, 2013, Omega announced the creation of the world's first movement that is resistant to magnetic fields greater than 1.5 Tesla, far exceeding the levels of magnetic resistance achieved by any previous movement. A similar movement was used by Daniel Craig as James Bond, though the official collector's watch was labeled as resistant to 15,007 Gauss in honor of the fictional secret agent's codename. Most anti-magnetic watches utilize a soft iron, Faraday cage which distributes electromagnetism in such a way that it cancels the effect on the movement contained within. This type of anti-magnetic case required demagnetizing procedures of the case. Omega has instead built a movement of non-ferrous materials, eliminating the need for such a cage and providing a far greater resistance to magnetic fields, eliminating necessity of additional maintenance. In 2015, they introduced the Master Chronometer certification, which denotes that along with the COSC certification, a movement has also passed a series of 8 tests set out by Metas. Master Chronometer watches have a minimum water resistance rating of 100 meters, a minimum power reserve rating of 60 hours, an accuracy rating of 0 + 5 seconds per day, and are resistant to magnetic fields of 15,000 Gauss. The Master Chronometer certification debuted on the Globemaster, but they now offer it across many more of its watch collections. Observatory Trials. Omega Gen of Cal. 613. Observatory trials focused on the science of chronometry and the ability to make chronometers measure time precisely. Only Patek Philippe and Omega participated every year in the trials. Omega's performances at these competitions garnered the company a reputation of precision and innovation. For more than a decade, Omega was the largest manufacturer of COSC chronometers. Omega developed the slogan Omega, Exact Time for Life in 1931 based on its historical performance at the observatory trials. Omega's early prowess in designing and regulating timing movements was made possible by the company's incorporation of new chronometric innovations. Reference numbers. Before 1962, it was a simple alphanumeric code of 2 letters followed by 4 digits. Between 1962 and 2007, Omega used the MAPIC system, consisting of 2 letters followed by either 6 or 7 numbers. The PIC system started in 1988, running concurrently with MAPICs, and featured an arrangement of 8 numbers in 3 groups. Finally, today we have the PIC-14 structure with 14 digits in 6 groups. Environmental rating. In December 2018, Worldwide Fund for Nature released an official report giving environmental ratings for 15 major watch manufacturers and jewelers in Switzerland. Omega, along with 7 other manufacturers including Patek Philippe, Breguet and Rolex, was given the lowest environmental rating as latecomers, non-transparent, suggesting that the manufacturer has taken very few actions addressing the impact of its manufacturing activities on the environment and climate change. There are concerns over the lack of transparency in manufacturing activities and the sourcing of precious raw materials such as gold, which is a major cause of environmental issues such as pollution, soil degradation and deforestation. The situation is especially serious in the developing countries, which are also top producers of gold, including China, Russia, and South Africa. It is estimated that the watch and jewelry sector uses over 50% of world's annual gold production, but in most cases the watch companies are not able to or are unwilling to demonstrate where their raw materials come from and if the material suppliers use eco-friendly sourcing technologies. Notable models. The Omega wristwatch Ref. H6582 and D960431, once owned by Elvis Presley, was sold in auction by Philips for $1.812 million in Geneva on May 12, 2018, making it the most expensive Omega timepiece ever sold at auction. The watch was manufactured in 1960 and was sold by Tiffany & Co. in 1961. The watch was presented to Elvis Presley as a gift from RCA Records on February 25, 1961, to commemorate his remarkable achievement of having sold 75 million records. Petros Protopapas, the director of Omega Museum, later confirmed that the museum was the winning bidder. The Omega stainless steel Tourbillon 301 was sold in auction by Philips for around $1.43 million in Geneva on November 12, 2017. It was then the most expensive Omega timepiece ever sold at auction. In March 1965, the Omega Speedmaster was declared flight qualified for all manned space missions. On July 20, 1969, Buzz Aldrin stepped onto the moon wearing his Omega Speedmaster watch. The model of the first watch on the moon is the Omega Speedmaster 105.012. The Omega Speedmaster Professional Chronograph was the first watch on the moon, worn by Buzz Aldrin. Although Apollo 11 Commander Neil Armstrong was first to set foot on the moon, he left his 105.012 Speedmaster inside the lunar module as a backup because the LM's electronic timer had malfunctioned. Aldrin elected to wear his, and so his Speedmaster became the first watch to be worn on the moon. Armstrong's watch is now displayed at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. Aldrin's was lost. He mentions in his book, Return to Earth, that when donating several items to the Smithsonian Institution, his Omega was one of the few things that was stolen from his personal effects. In 2007, to mark the 50th anniversary of the Omega Speedmaster Professional Chronograph, the Omega Company unveiled the commemorative Speedmaster Professional Chronograph Moonwatch. The watch had the distinctive features of the first hand-winding Omega Speedmaster introduced in 1957. It was sold in an edition of 1957. Omega is the official timekeeper for the video game Need for Speed 2, released on Microsoft Windows and PlayStation in 1997. Omega has been associated with James Bond movies since 1995. That year, Pierce Brosnan took over the role of James Bond and began wearing the Omega Seamaster Quartz Professional in the movie GoldenEye. In all later films, Brosnan wore an Omega Seamaster Professional chronometer. The producers wanted to update the image of the fictional super spy to a more distinctly sophisticated Euro look. Another possible reason for the change from the Rolex Submariner that Bond had previously worn was a change in the business environment surrounding modern films and product placement. Omega was eager to participate in high-profile co-promotions, product placement opportunities, especially the James Bond franchise, to further its brand image awareness. It accomplished this by supplying products and finance. For the 40th anniversary of James Bond, a commemorative edition of the watch was made available, model 253780. The watch is identical to the model 253180, except the blue watch dial had a 7 logo inscribed across it and also machined into the caseback. The band also had 7 inscribed on the clasp. Daniel Craig, the current James Bond since Casino Royale, also wears the Omega Seamaster, the Seamaster Planet Ocean in the first part of Casino Royale, and the Seamaster Professional 300M in the latter part. He even goes so far as to mention Omega by name when questioned by Vesper Lynd. In connection with the launch of the film, Omega released in 2006 and 7 special of the Professional 300M, featuring the 7-gun logo on the second hand and the rifle pattern on the watch face, this being a stylized representation of the gun barrel sequence of Bond movies. Omega released a second James Bond limited edition watch in 2006. This was a Seamaster Planet Ocean model with a limited production of 5,007 units. The model is similar to what Craig wears earlier on in the film, however, it has a small orange-colored 7 logo on the second hand, an engraved caseback signifying the Bond connection, and an engraved 7 on the clasp. In the 2008 movie Quantum of Solace, Craig wears the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean with a black face and steel bracelet. Another limited edition was released featuring the checkered PPK grip face with the Quantum of Solace logo over it. The third limited edition release from Omega came in 2012. This model was based on the Planet Ocean Ref 232-30-42-2101-004. It featured a textured dial with the 7 logo at the 7 o'clock position, and a 7 decorated rotor visible through the case back. In 2015, 2 commemorative models were produced for the 24th Bond film, Spectre, the Omega Seamaster 300 meters Master Coaxial Ref 233-32-41-21-001-001. 7,007 units were produced and came with a NATO strap as well as the standard bracelet. The watch also featured a bi-directional bezel with a world timing scale rather than a diving scale present on the standard 300 meters. The second timepiece for the film was the Omega Seamaster Aquaterra 150 meters Master Coaxial Ref 231-10-42-21-03-004. The The watch was decorated with a textured dial based on the Bond family coat of arms, as well as with a rotor resembling a bullet and gun barrel with James Bond inscribed. Sports sponsorship. Omega has frequently been the official timekeeper for the Olympics, beginning with the 1932 Summer Olympics. It was the official timekeeper for the 2006 Winter Olympics, 2008 Summer Olympics, and 2010 Winter Olympics. In 2008, Omega brought out an Olympic edition with its logo on the second hand. Olympic swimmer and multiple gold medalist Michael Phelps is an Omega ambassador and wears the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. Omega is also the official timekeeper for the 2012 Summer Olympics. In 2014, Omega became the official timekeeper of the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics. The brand was a worldwide Olympic partner at the 2016 Summer Olympics. After the 2020 Summer Olympics were postponed due to COVID-19, the Tokyo Station's Olympic countdown clock, made by Omega, which was displaying the number of days until the games and a local tourist attraction, was halted and switched to show the current date and time. This partnership will continue at least until 2032. Omega constructed and maintained a monochrome video scoreboard for Milwaukee's County Stadium, the former home of Major League Baseball's Milwaukee Brewers, which was in use from the board's construction in 1980 until the stadium's closure in 2000. Providing support to Emirates Team New Zealand and representing the team's official watch. In 2007, Omega introduced the Seamaster NZL32 chronograph, with the name suggested by the name of the boat that won the America's Cup in 1995. The watch was developed in cooperation with Dean Barker, skipper of Team New Zealand and Omega ambassador. On July 1, 2011, Omega became the official timekeeper of PGA of America through the signing of a 5-year agreement that was to carry through 2016. The brand also sponsors the Dubai Desert Classic and the Omega European Masters. Controversy: 2022 Olympics. Omega faced activist pressure to withdraw from being the official timekeepers of the 2022 Beijing Olympics, especially after numerous governments adopted diplomatic boycotts. After the International Olympic Committee selected Beijing to host the Olympics, numerous governments enacted diplomatic boycotts over human rights violations. In particular, China's repression of Uyghurs and other minorities, which some countries have designated as a genocide. Omega defended its continued role as the official timekeeper of the Olympics by stating its policy not to get involved in certain political issues because it would not advance the cause of sport in which our commitment lies. Omega has been the official timekeeper of the Olympics since 1932, including the controversial 1936 and 1980 Olympics, which also saw widespread boycotts over human rights concerns. Subscribe our channel to know about world-famous watches. Share this video to get an understanding about watches for your friends. And comment if you like to share your feeling about your favorite watches with others. Join our Art of the Time Facebook group. Link is in the description.